Commander Hyun-woo floated in the observation deck of the Mars station, watching the red planet spin slowly below. He had been stationed here for 3 years, and the view never got old. His coffee floated beside him, in a sealed container, still hot from the dispenser. It was a quiet morning, the kind he had learned to appreciate in space. Then the alarms started screaming. Every screen in the station lit up at once. Hyun-woo grabbed his coffee and pushed himself toward the command center, his heart pounding. The other crew members were already there, staring at the displays with wide eyes. "Commander, you need to see this," his second officer said, her voice shaking. The screens showed ships. Dozens of them. They were massive, each one larger than anything humanity had ever built. They hung in space like silver monuments, their surfaces smooth and gleaming. More ships appeared near Earth, near Venus, near Jupiter. Within minutes, the entire solar system was filled with alien vessels. Hyun-woo's hands moved automatically, checking weapons systems, defense protocols, evacuation routes. But the ships didn't attack. They didn't move at all. They just waited. Then the messages began. Every radio, every computer, every device capable of receiving a signal suddenly spoke in perfect Korean, English, Mandarin, Spanish, and hundreds of other languages. The voice was calm and pleasant. "People of Earth, do not be afraid. We come in peace. We are the Galactic Council, and we have been watching you. You are ready now. Welcome to the greater universe." Back on Earth, in the city of Seoul, Dr. Ji-won stood in her laboratory at the Xenobiology Research Center. The center had been built 10 years ago, just in case humanity ever found alien life. Now, alien life had found them instead. Her phone rang constantly. Every news channel wanted her opinion. Every government agency needed her expertise. But Ji-won just stared at the images coming from space, her scientific mind racing through possibilities. The ships were beautiful in a way that seemed impossible. They looked grown rather than built, organic curves instead of hard angles. "They're really here," her assistant whispered beside her. Ji-won nodded slowly. "Yes, and they've been watching us. That's what worries me." 3 days later, the aliens landed. They chose Seoul for the first meeting, and the city transformed overnight. Military vehicles lined every street. Cameras from every nation pointed at the landing site. Millions of people crowded behind barriers, desperate for a glimpse of history. Taeyang stood in his diplomatic uniform, sweating despite the cool autumn air. He had been chosen to represent Earth because of his work in international relations, his calm demeanor, and his ability to speak 7 languages. None of that felt useful now. How do you negotiate with beings from another world? The alien ship descended without sound, settling in the center of the plaza like a falling leaf. A door opened, and they emerged. Ambassador Velix looked like a giant insect, but moved with grace and dignity. Its body was covered in shimmering blue armor that might have been skin or clothing. Behind Velix came High Chancellor Norvik, ancient and reptilian, its eyes holding wisdom that made Taeyang feel like a child. "Greetings, people of Earth," Velix said, its voice translated instantly by a small device. "We represent 847 species across the galaxy. We invite humanity to join us." The ceremony was beautiful. The aliens presented gifts: medical technology that could cure diseases, clean energy that could power cities, art, and music from 1,000 worlds. They spoke of peace, of cooperation, of the wonders waiting among the stars. But Ji-won, watching from the science delegation, noticed something strange. The alien guards were nervous. They stood too far back, their weapons held in defensive positions. When a human child broke through the crowd and ran toward the aliens, every guard flinched. They didn't reach for the child in greeting. They reached for their weapons. The child's mother caught him quickly, apologizing. The aliens recovered smoothly, even laughing about it. But Ji-won had seen their first reaction. They were afraid. That night, Hyun-woo reviewed the tactical data his station had collected during the landing. He was military, trained to spot threats and weaknesses. What he found confused him. The alien ships were powerful, yes. Their weapons could probably destroy Earth's entire fleet, but their tactics were all wrong. Every formation was defensive. Every weapon placement designed to protect, not attack. Their military doctrine read like a police force, not an army. He sent his report to Earth Command, flagging it as priority. Something didn't add up. Meanwhile, G1 couldn't sleep. She had been given access to the alien database, a gift to help humanity learn about the galaxy. She searched through cultural files, historical records, entertainment media. Everything painted a picture of peaceful, cooperative species working together. Then she found the locked files. They were marked with warnings in dozens of languages. Restricted access. Council authority only. Extreme danger. She shouldn't have been able to see them at all. But there was a glitch in the database interface. For just a moment, she saw the file names before they disappeared. The nightmare species, behavioral analysis, the ones who never stop, threat assessment, humanity, containment protocols. Ji-won's blood ran cold. She tried to access the files again, but they were gone, hidden behind security she couldn't break. She sat in her lab, alone in the dark, and realized the truth. The aliens hadn't come to welcome humanity to the galaxy. They had come because they were afraid. The gifts, the friendship, the invitation to join the council. It was all a strategy. Keep the humans close. Keep them happy. Keep them from becoming hostile. The next morning, Taeyang stood before the world's media and announced that Earth accepted the council's invitation. Humanity would join the galactic community as a junior member, learning and growing under the guidance of species who had traveled the stars for thousands of years. Everyone celebrated. Earth had a future among the stars. But in her lab, Ji-won stared at her notes and wondered what the aliens knew about humanity that humans didn't know about themselves. What had they seen in Earth's history that made them so afraid? And what would happen when humanity found out the truth? 6 months had passed since first contact, and Earth was changing fast. Alien technology arrived daily. New medicines cured old diseases. Clean energy replaced fossil fuels. Children learned about alien cultures in school. The future looked bright, but Sora wasn't convinced. She worked as a military analyst for Earth defense, studying everything the aliens shared about galactic history. Her job was to understand how the galaxy handled conflicts, how wars were fought, how peace was maintained. What she found was strange. Very strange. The last major war in the galaxy happened 12,000 years ago. 12,000 years. Earth had dozens of wars, just in the last century. She searched deeper, looking for smaller conflicts, border disputes, anything. There was almost nothing. Just peaceful negotiation after peaceful negotiation. This can't be right, she muttered, scrolling through files in her office. Nobody is this peaceful. Nobody. She tried to access military records from the ancient war, the one they called the Extinction Conflict. But the files were locked, sealed, redacted. Only fragments remained, and those fragments made no sense. Entire species had vanished. Whole star systems abandoned. Something terrible had happened, and nobody wanted to talk about it. Meanwhile, Taeyang and Ji-won traveled to the Convergence, the massive space station at the center of Council space. It was beautiful beyond words, a city of lights and gardens floating in the void. Millions of beings from hundreds of worlds lived there together. With them came Min-ah, a journalist who had convinced Earth Command to let her document humanity's first diplomatic mission. She had a camera, a recorder, and an endless curiosity that made officials nervous. Their guide was Counselor Thex, a kind alien who looked like walking jelly but spoke with warmth and wisdom. Thex showed them everything: the council chambers where laws were made, the gardens where species shared their crops, the museums displaying art from across the galaxy. You must understand, Thex said, its body rippling as it spoke. The council was built on cooperation. We learned long ago that conflict benefits no one. We share. We discuss. We find solutions together. But what if someone doesn't want to cooperate? Mina asked, her camera recording everything. Thex seemed uncomfortable. That hasn't happened in a very long time. G1 watched the crowds of aliens around them. They were all so different. Some walked, some floated, some slithered, but they all moved carefully, giving each other space. Speaking quietly, there was a gentleness to everything. A softness that felt almost unnatural. That night, while the official delegation slept, Mina explored. She wasn't supposed to, but journalists rarely did what they were supposed to do. She found a public library, vast and silent, filled with data crystals containing the knowledge of civilizations. She searched for files about Earth, about humans, and she found thousands of them. The files went back centuries. The aliens had been watching Earth long before first contact. They had recordings of human wars, analysis of human psychology, studies of human behavior. Every file was marked with warning labels. Dangerous. Unpredictable. Extreme caution required. On press. One file showed footage from World War II. Another analyzed the Cold War. A third contained a detailed study of human combat sports. Boxing, martial arts, wrestling. The alien who wrote the report seemed horrified that humans fought each other for entertainment. Mina copied everything she could onto a secure drive and hurried back to her quarters. Her hands were shaking. The aliens had been studying humans like scientists study dangerous animals. The next morning, G1 confronted Counselor Thex. She brought printouts of the locked files she had tried to access, the references to nightmare species, and containment protocols. Tell me the truth, she demanded. Why are you really afraid of us? Thex's gelatinous body seemed to deflate. The kindness in its voice was replaced by something else. Sadness. Maybe. Or shame. Come with me, Thex said quietly. All of you. It's time you knew. Thex led them to a secure room deep in the convergence. Taeyang, G1, Mina, and several other human delegates followed. The door sealed behind them. We didn't invite humanity to join the council because we wanted to, Thex began. The room's walls lit up with images. Earth, seen from space. Human cities, human ships, human faces. For 50 years, we watched your world, Thex continued. We saw your wars, your weapons, your incredible capacity for violence. We saw how you fight, how you never surrender, how you turn everything into a weapon. We saw behaviors that no species in the galaxy has ever displayed. But we're not unique, Taeyang protested. Violence exists everywhere. Animals fight. Species compete. It's natural. No, Thex said firmly. You don't understand. Let me show you. More images appeared. Alien worlds, peaceful and green. Most species in the galaxy evolved on worlds with abundant resources. Food was plentiful. Predators were few. We developed intelligence through cooperation, because cooperation helped us thrive. Then Earth appeared, violent and harsh. Volcanoes erupting, storms raging, predators hunting. You evolved on a death world, Thex said. A planet that tried to kill you every single day. You developed intelligence to survive against impossible odds. You learned to fight, to adapt, to never give up. Sora spoke up from where she stood in the back. You're saying we're dangerous because Earth was dangerous? I'm saying you're dangerous because you don't even realize how dangerous you are, Thex replied. When our species face battle, we calculate odds. If casualties reach 3%, we surrender. It's logical. It's rational. You fight to 90% casualties and call it heroic. When we face a stronger enemy, we retreat. You charge forward, and find a way to win anyway. The room fell silent. The humans looked at each other, confused. The council debated for years about what to do with humanity. Thex continued. Some wanted to quarantine your world, trap you in your solar system forever. Others suggested other solutions. But we chose integration. We decided to make you our friends, to give you everything you need, so you would never have a reason to be our enemies. Taeyong's voice was cold. You're managing us, like animals in a zoo. We're protecting ourselves, Thex said, and maybe protecting you from yourselves. The galaxy isn't ready for human aggression, and humans aren't ready for the truth about what you're capable of. Before anyone could respond, alarms started blaring throughout the convergence. Emergency lights flashed red. Alien voices shouted in panic over the communication systems. A council guard burst into the room. Chancellor Norvik requires all council members immediately. We're under attack. Attack? Thex's body rippled with shock. That's impossible. Who would? Unknown species on the frontier. They're destroying our colonies. 3 worlds have already fallen. The council is requesting military assistance from all member species. The guard's eyes turned to the humans, and for the first time, there was hope in that gaze instead of fear. We're requesting assistance from Earth. The emergency council meeting was chaos. Hundreds of alien delegates filled the grand chamber, all speaking at once. Their voices rose in panic, fear making them forget their usual calm. High Chancellor Norvik stood at the center, ancient and tired. The reptilian leader had seen peace for thousands of years. Now war had returned, and Norvik looked lost. 3 colonies destroyed in 2 months, Norvik announced, its voice cutting through the noise. The Vorn show no interest in negotiation. They attack without warning, kill without mercy, and take whatever they want. Holographic images appeared above the chamber. The Vorn looked like bears crossed with wolves, massive and covered in thick armor. Their ships were crude but effective, built for one purpose: destruction. Our defense fleets retreat before them, a insect-like delegate said, its antenna drooping. We are not equipped for this kind of conflict. We sent negotiators, another added. The Vorn killed them and sent back their bodies. Taeyong stood among the human delegation, listening carefully. Beside him, Sora whispered, They're completely unprepared. Their whole military is designed for show, not for actual fighting. On the screens, footage played of the Council's defense fleet engaging the Vorn. The alien ships stayed at maximum range, firing precise shots meant to disable rather than destroy. The Vorn simply ignored the attacks and kept coming, their weapons tearing through Council vessels like paper. When Council ships took heavy damage, they retreated immediately. When Vorn ships took damage, they fought harder. We need a new strategy, Norvik said, and its ancient eyes turned to the human delegation. Earth, your species is young, but you have extensive experience with conflict. Will you help us? The chamber fell silent. Hundreds of alien eyes watched the humans. Some looked hopeful. Others looked afraid, as if inviting Earth to help was even more dangerous than the Vorn themselves. Taeyong felt the weight of the moment. This was it. The choice that would define humanity's place in the galaxy. He thought about what Thex had told them, about how the Council saw humans as dangerous. Now they needed that danger. We'll need full tactical information, Taeyong said. Complete access to all military data. No more secrets. No more secrets. Norvik nodded slowly. Agreed. And when this is over, Earth gets full membership in the Council. Not junior status. Full equals. Several aliens protested. But Norvik raised a clawed hand for silence. Agreed. Help us survive, and humanity will have its place among us. Taeyong took a deep breath. Then yes, Earth will help. 2 weeks later, Commander Jae-sung stood on the bridge of the UESS Indomitable. Earth's first true warship. designed for deep space combat. Behind him, 5 more Earth vessels formed up in tight formation. It wasn't a large fleet, but it was what Earth could spare. Beside him, Tactical Officer Yoon Seo studied the displays showing the Vorn advance. She was young, but brilliant, top of her class at the military academy. Her mind worked like a chess player, always thinking 3 moves ahead. The Vorn are overconfident, she observed. They've fought 6 battles and won all of them easily. They think the whole galaxy is this weak. Good, Jae-sung said with a slight smile. Overconfidence is a weakness we can exploit. Counselor Thex floated nearby, observing everything with its gelatinous body rippling nervously. Hyunwoo stood beside the alien, his role now as strategic advisor to the combined fleet. Your tactics seem very aggressive, Thex commented, watching the humans' plan. The Council prefers to minimize casualties. So do we, Hyunwoo replied. But we define minimize differently. You minimize by retreating. We minimize by ending fights fast. The combined fleet arrived at the besieged world of Kelron 3. Council ships already in orbit were barely holding on, their shields failing under Vorn bombardment. The planet below was burning. All ships, battle formation, Jae-sung ordered. Flanking pattern Delta. Close to effective range. The Council ships hung back, but the Earth vessels surged forward. The Vorn fleet turned to meet them, probably excited by enemies who actually wanted to fight. What followed shocked everyone watching. The Earth ships didn't follow standard Council tactics. They didn't maintain safe distance or fire precise shots. They dove into the Vorn formation, like wolves into a herd, their weapons blazing continuously. They dodged and weaved, accepting damage to their armor while inflicting worse on the enemy. Yoon Seo directed the battle like a conductor leading an orchestra. She had studied human military history, ancient battles, modern warfare, everything. She used tactics that the galaxy had never seen, feints and traps, sacrificial moves that baited the Vorn into mistakes, coordinated strikes that concentrated fire on single targets. The Vorn were confused. They had fought Council forces that retreated under pressure. The humans charged under pressure. They had faced enemies who surrendered when damaged. Human ships kept fighting with hull breaches and failing systems. One human destroyer took a direct hit that tore through its engine section. The ship was dead in space, its crew evacuating in escape pods. But the captain stayed behind. This is Captain Dal-Su to all ships, her voice came over the comm. I'm still operational. Vorn, command ship, is in my path. Going to make this count. She fired the maneuvering thrusters, pushing her dying ship toward the largest Vorn vessel. The Vorn tried to shoot her down, but the Council ships provided covering fire. The destroyer crashed into the Vorn command ship at full speed. Both ships exploded in a ball of fire. The battle turned. The Vorn, shaken by the suicide attack, began to retreat. But Yoon Seo wasn't done. All ships, pursuit pattern, she ordered. Don't let them regroup. We won, Thex said, confused. Why continue fighting? Because if we stop now, they'll attack again, Hyunwoo explained. You have to show them that attacking costs too much. You have to make them afraid. The Earth fleet chased the Vorn across the system, harrying them constantly, giving them no rest. By the time the Vorn jumped to hyperspace, they had lost half their fleet. In the aftermath, Jae-sung surveyed the damage. 2 Earth ships were heavily damaged. 1 was destroyed. They had lost 140 crew members, including Captain Dal-Su. It hurt. Every loss hurt. But they had saved Kelron 3 and broken the Vorn advance. The Council ships approached slowly, their commanders requesting to come aboard the Indomitable. When they arrived, the alien commanders looked at the humans with something new in their eyes. Not fear. Not exactly. More like awe mixed with horror. You fight like demons, one commander said. But you die. For people you just met. I don't understand. Jae-sung thought about how to explain it. How do you tell someone that sacrifice is natural when their species has never needed to learn it. We fight for each other, he said simply. We die so others can live. It's what we do. In the council chambers, news of the battle spread quickly. The footage was shown everywhere, and the galaxy watched in stunned silence. They saw human tactics, human courage, and human sacrifice. They also saw something else. They saw the Vorn, the galaxy's first aggressors in 12,000 years, retreat in fear. Warlord Krax, leader of the Vorn invasion, sat in his command ship and watched the battle recordings over and over. His species had conquered a dozen worlds in their home region. They had faced many enemies, but never anything like this. He ordered his analysts to research the humans. What they found terrified him: Earth's history of warfare. Thousands of years of constant conflict, weapons that could destroy entire planets, tactics that prioritized victory over survival, and underneath it all, a species that never, ever gave up. Krax sent an emergency message back to the Vorn homeworld. We have made a terrible mistake. These humans are not like the Council species. They are warriors born and bred. We cannot defeat them. The message that came back was simple. Then make peace, whatever the cost. The message arrived at the Convergence 3 days after the battle. It came on all frequencies. Impossible to miss, impossible to ignore. This is Warlord Krax of the Vorn Empire. We request immediate peace negotiations. We will meet anywhere, anytime. We ask only that human representatives be present. The council chamber buzzed with confused voices. The Vorn, who had ignored every peace offer for months, now begged for negotiation. And they specifically wanted humans there. High Chancellor Norvik looked older than ever. They fear us now, the ancient reptilian said, but they fear humanity more. Quote, Taeyang stood with the human delegation, feeling the weight of hundreds of alien eyes on him. In just a few months, humanity had gone from junior members to the species everyone watched nervously. We should go, G1 said quietly beside him. This is a chance to show the galaxy who we really are. The meeting took place on a neutral space station at the border of Council space. The station was small, built centuries ago for exactly this kind of negotiation. Dust covered everything. It hadn't been used in thousands of years because the galaxy had forgotten how to make war. Krax arrived with minimal guards, a sign of genuine desire for peace. The Vorn warlord was massive, easily 3 meters tall, covered in scarred armor that told stories of countless battles. But his eyes held something that looked almost like respect when he saw the humans. You fought well, Krax said, his translator device making his growling voice understandable. My people are warriors. We respect strength. You have shown us true strength. We fought because we had to, Taeyang replied carefully. We didn't want war. Krax made a sound that might have been laughter. Your Captain Dal Su piloted a dying ship into our command vessel. Your ships charged our formation when retreat was the logical choice. You lost crew members and kept fighting. These are not the actions of species who avoid war. These are the actions of apex warriors. Hyun Woo, present as military advisor, shook his head. You misunderstand us. We don't love fighting. We're just good at it because we had to be. Earth taught us to fight or die, so we learned to fight. Then your world is like ours, Krax said, his tone shifting to something almost gentle. The Vorn homeworld is harsh. Only the strong survive. We thought the galaxy would be the same. We thought strength would let us take what we wanted. And then you met us, Jae-sung said. And then we researched you, Krax corrected. We found your history, your wars, your weapons, your capacity for organized violence on scales we never imagined. We found records of something called nuclear weapons that can destroy cities. We found footage of battles where your soldiers fought for days without rest, without surrender, without hope of victory, simply because retreating meant betraying their comrades. The warlord's voice grew quieter. We found a war called World War II, where 50 million of your kind died, and you kept fighting. 50 million. That's more than the total population of 3 Vorn worlds. And you call it just one war among many. The room fell silent. Even the council delegates, who had heard some of this before, looked shocked at hearing it laid out so clearly. Councillor Thex spoke up, its gelatinous body rippling with emotion. This is why we feared you. This is why we tried to make you our friends instead of our enemies. Because a species that can survive such losses and keep fighting is a species that cannot be defeated by conventional means. But we don't want to conquer anyone, G1 protested. Yes. Earth's history is violent. Yes. We've fought terrible wars. But we've also built civilizations, created art, explored science, loved and laughed and lived. We're not monsters. No. Krax agreed. You're not monsters. You're survivors. The galaxy's ultimate survivors. And that makes you the ultimate force, not because you want to dominate, but because nothing can make you stop. Sora had been quiet, listening and analyzing. Now she spoke up. You're afraid of our persistence, not our weapons, not our tactics. You're afraid that if humans decide to do something, nothing can change their minds. Exactly, Thex said. Your species has a concept called mutually assured destruction. You built weapons that could end your own world, and you kept them ready for decades, knowing that using them meant your own death. You were willing to destroy yourselves rather than surrender to enemies. What species does that? What kind of mind creates such a strategy? A desperate one. Taeyang said softly. You all evolved on peaceful worlds with plenty of resources. You never needed to develop that kind of thinking. But Earth was different. We were prey animals who became predators. We were weak creatures who built tools to become strong. Every step of our evolution was a fight against extinction. That desperation shaped our minds in ways you can't understand. Krax nodded slowly. The Vorn understand. We too came from a harsh world, but even we are shocked by human intensity. We fight for territory, for resources, for glory. You fight for ideas, for principles, for each other. You die for abstractions. This is terrifying to us. So what do you want? Jae-sung asked. Why did you call this meeting? We want peace, Krax said. But more than that, we want to understand. If humans exist in this galaxy, we need to learn from you. The galaxy needs to learn from you. You have capabilities that no other species possesses. Instead of fearing you, perhaps we should learn to think like you. High Chancellor Norvik had been silent, but now the ancient alien spoke. You propose alliance with Earth? Not just peace, but partnership? I propose more than that, Krax said. I propose that Earth becomes the galaxy's shield. You have the mindset, the training, the instinct to defend against threats that the peaceful species cannot even imagine. The Vorn will end our aggression. In return, I ask that humans teach us. Teach us your tactics, your strategies, your ways of thinking, not so we can conquer, but so we can defend. Taeyang looked at his fellow humans. Hyun-woo, the soldier who understood military necessity. Jae-sung, the commander who led from the front. So-ra, the analyst who saw patterns others missed. Ji-won, the scientist who sought understanding above all else. We need to discuss this, Taeyang said. That night, the human delegation met in private. The room was small and plain, but it felt like the weight of Earth's future pressed down on them. They want us to be the galaxy's military, Hyun-woo said. That's what this means. We become the ones who fight, so they don't have to. Is that so terrible? Ji-won asked. We're good at fighting. They're good at peace. Maybe together, we can protect what they've built. But what about us? So-ra countered. What about Earth's development? If we become soldiers for the galaxy, do we stop being ourselves? Do we become the monsters they already fear we might be? Jae-sung shook his head. We're not becoming anything. We're showing them what we already are. Yes, We can fight. Yes, we're dangerous, but we're also loyal, protective, and willing to sacrifice for others. Captain Dal Su didn't die for Earth. She died for strangers on a planet she'd never visited. That's humanity too. Taeyang listened to them all, feeling the burden of leadership. Finally, he spoke. The galaxy has lived in peace for 12,000 years. That peace made them soft, vulnerable, unprepared. Then the Vorn came, and that peace almost broke. Now they know the truth. Peace isn't permanent. Threats exist. And when threats come, they need someone who knows how to fight. He looked at each of them. We can be that someone. Not because we love war, but because we understand it. We can protect the galaxy's peace, while teaching them to protect themselves. We can be the shield that gives them time to learn strength. And if they never learn? Hyunwoo asked. If they stay dependent on us forever? Then we keep protecting them, Ji-won said softly. Because that's what strong people do. They protect those who can't protect themselves. The next morning, Taeyang gave the council their answer. Earth would accept a new role in the galaxy. Not conquerors, not overlords, guardians. The galaxy would remain peaceful. But now it would have teeth. And those teeth would be human. 5 years had passed since the Vorn War ended. The galaxy looked different now, felt different. Change had come slowly at first, then faster than anyone expected. Premier Dalnim stood in her office on Earth, looking at reports from across the galaxy. She had been elected 2 years ago, specifically to manage Earth's new role among the stars. The responsibility aged her, but she carried it with quiet strength. On her desk lay the latest statistics. 300 council species now participated in the Galactic Defense Initiative. 20,000 non-human soldiers trained under human instructors. 42 joint defense stations operated along the galaxy's borders. And not a single aggressive incident in 5 years. They're learning, she said to Taeyang, who now served as Earth's High Council representative. Slowly, but they're learning. Taeyang nodded, his hair now showing gray at the temples. Some learn faster than others. The Vorn have become our strongest allies. They understand the warrior mindset, but species like Thex's people struggle. They can't grasp why anyone would choose to face danger, because they've never had to. Dalnim replied. That's not weakness. That's fortune. We shouldn't judge them for never learning what we were forced to learn. On a training station near the Andromeda border, Commander Hyunwoo watched a mixed squad run tactical drills. Humans worked alongside insectoid aliens, reptilians, and even a few Vorn warriors. They moved together now, covering each other, communicating without words. It had been hard at first. The non-humans couldn't understand human training methods. Why do humans push themselves until exhaustion? Why practice the same drill 1,000 times? Why train for scenarios that might never happen? But slowly, they learned. Not to become human, but to adopt human preparedness. To understand that peace requires strength, and strength requires practice. Again, Hyunwoo called out as the squad finished their exercise. Better this time. Remember, you're not training to fight. You're training so you never have to fight. Show potential enemies that you're ready, and they'll look elsewhere. A young alien recruit, barely adult, approached him nervously. Commander, I have question. In exercise, I made mistake. I could have saved teammate, but I retreated. This is wrong? Hyunwoo smiled gently. Not wrong. Your species was taught to preserve your own life first. That's logical. But humans were taught something different. We preserve the team first, because alone we die. But together, we survive. You're learning a new way of thinking. That takes time. The recruit's antenna drooped. I fear I never understand like humans understand. You don't need to understand like us, Hyunwoo said. You just need to understand why we think this way. And then you take what works for you and your people. We're not making you human. We're helping you find your own strength. Back on Earth, Dr. G1 ran a very different program. The Cultural Exchange Initiative brought human and alien scholars together to study each other not as soldiers, but as civilizations. In her lecture hall, she showed human and alien students footage of Earth's history. The violence, yes, but also the art, the music, the literature, born from struggle. She showed them how humans processed trauma through creativity, how they built beauty from ashes. Your species writes poems about war, an alien student observed. Why remember pain through art? Because forgetting pain means repeating it, G1 explained. We remember our wars, so we never want to fight them again. We honor our dead, so their sacrifice means something. Art is how we process what violence costs us. She showed them human memorials, monuments to fallen soldiers, walls inscribed with names of the dead. The alien students were confused at first. Why celebrate death? Why make permanent reminders of loss? But slowly, they began to understand. Humans didn't celebrate death. They mourned it. And that mourning made them think twice before creating more death. Some council species started building their own memorials, remembering losses from the Vorn War. It was a small thing, but it marked a shift in thinking. Meanwhile, Mina continued her journalism, but now she documented something beautiful. Her latest series was called The Guardians, showing human and alien cooperation across the galaxy. She filmed human engineers teaching aliens to build defense stations. She recorded alien diplomats learning human negotiation tactics. She showed Vorn warriors training peacefully alongside the species they once attacked. The documentary became the most watched program in galactic history. It showed the galaxy something they needed to see. Humans weren't monsters. They were protectors, and protection required strength that came from a place of love, not hate. One segment showed Commander Jae Sung, now an admiral, visiting the memorial for Captain Dal Su. Fresh flowers sat at the base of her statue, left by alien visitors who had learned her story. She wasn't a warrior because she loved fighting, Jae Sung told the camera. She was a warrior because she loved protecting. There's a difference. Humans fight, not because we want to, but because sometimes someone has to, and we're capable of bearing that burden. The galaxy began to understand that distinction. Capable of violence wasn't the same as desiring violence, and that understanding changed everything. Counselor Thex visited Earth for the first time, specifically requesting to see where humans trained. Hyun-woo gave the alien guide a personal tour of the military academy. Your young start training so early, Thex observed, watching teenage cadets run obstacle courses. Does this not steal their childhood? They're not soldiers yet, Hyun-woo explained. This is education. We teach them discipline, teamwork, sacrifice. Some will become military. Most won't, but all will understand what service means. I think I finally understand something, Thex said, its gelatinous body rippling thoughtfully. Humans are not warriors by nature. You are guardians, by necessity. Your world made you strong because it had to. Now you use that strength to protect those who were fortunate enough to never need it. Exactly, Hyun-woo said. We don't want the galaxy to become like us. We want the galaxy to stay like them. Peaceful, cooperative, kind. We just want to make sure that peace lasts. 10 years after first contact, another event shook the galaxy. A new species appeared at the far edge of Council space. They were aggressive, territorial, and refused all communication. The Council panicked, memories of the Vorn still fresh. But this time, they didn't panic alone. Premier Dal Nim received the emergency call while meeting with Earth's cabinet. High Chancellor Norvik appeared on the screen, but the ancient alien wasn't afraid. Just determined. Earth, we have a situation, Norvik said calmly. Unknown hostiles on our border. We're mobilizing defense forces. Can you provide support? Dalneem noticed something important. Norvik didn't ask Earth to handle it. The Chancellor asked for support. The galaxy was learning to stand up for itself. "We'll send 3 fleets immediately," Dalnim confirmed. "But Chancellor, what are your forces doing?" 20 Council species have already deployed," Norvik said with something like pride. "The training your people provided is being put to use. We may need human expertise, but we're not helpless anymore." When Earth's fleets arrived, they found something remarkable. Council forces weren't retreating. They had formed a defensive line and were holding it. Their tactics were still cautious, still focused on minimizing casualties, but they weren't running. Admiral Jai Sung coordinated with the Council commanders, offering advice rather than taking command. The battle that followed was nothing like the Vorn War. The new hostile species found themselves facing not just humans, but a galaxy that had learned from humans. The Council forces held their ground. They protected each other. They understood now that showing strength prevented further aggression. The hostiles, seeing unified resistance, withdrew. No major battle was necessary. The threat ended not through violence, but through the threat of violence backed by genuine capability. In the aftermath, Dalnim addressed both Earth and the Council. 10 years ago, aliens came to Earth because they feared us. They tried to contain us, to manage us, to keep us from becoming a threat. But something beautiful happened instead. We learned from each other. She gestured to the alien delegates standing beside her. The galaxy taught us about peace, about cooperation, about building something greater than warfare. And we taught the galaxy about strength, about preparedness, about protecting what you've built. Now we stand together, she continued. Not human or alien, but one galaxy with different roles. Some species will always be natural peacekeepers. Others will always be natural protectors. And that's okay. We're stronger together. Because of our differences. Not despite them. High Chancellor Norvik, now truly ancient, added its voice. Humanity showed us that peace isn't the absence of conflict. Peace is the presence of strength, guided by wisdom. For 12,000 years, we had peace because we forgot about conflict. Now we have peace because we're prepared for conflict. This is a stronger peace. A lasting peace. Years later, on a quiet evening in Seoul, old Commander Hyun-woo sat with his grandchildren, telling them stories about the early days of first contact. They asked him the question all human children now asked. "Grandpa, are humans really the scariest species in the galaxy?" Hyun-woo smiled and shook his head. "No, little ones. We're not the scariest. We're the strongest. And there's a difference. Scary means others fear you. Strong means others feel safe with you. We're strong so the galaxy can be gentle. We carry the burden of protection so others can carry the joy of peace." "But what if another bad species comes?" his youngest grandchild asked. "What if there's a war?" "What if there's a war? Then the galaxy will handle it together," Hyun-woo replied. "Because we taught them not to be like us, but to understand why we are the way we are." And that understanding made everyone stronger. He looked up at the stars visible through the window. Stars now filled with friends, allies, and a peace that was stronger than silence. It was a peace built on mutual respect, shared strength, and the understanding that sometimes the greatest force in the universe isn't the ability to destroy, but the willingness to protect. Humanity had found its place among the stars, not as conquerors, not as warriors, but as the ultimate force for peace, strong enough to defend what the galaxy had built together, wise enough to know that strength without compassion was just another form of weakness. The galaxy was safe, and Earth stood watch, ready but hoping to never be needed, strong but gentle. The ultimate force guided by the ultimate purpose, protecting the precious peace that all species, human and alien alike, had learned to build together.